Welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio. I'm your host, Deborah Bailey. And when I started this show in 2008, I was on a mission to promote women-owned businesses and help women succeed by providing resources and valuable tips from other women and men, small business owners. In each interview, my guests speak openly about their triumphs, the scary times, and tough decisions they had to make along the way. Women Entrepreneurs Radio is about showing women how to harness their natural strengths to achieve success on their own terms. Hi, welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host, Deborah Bailey. I'm really glad you could join me today. And if you're listening to this show on Podomatic or iTunes, please try to leave a review or feedback about the show, because all of that helps the show to be discovered by more people. So definitely make sure that you do that, particularly if you're on iTunes. Leave a review or feedback. We'd be glad if you could do that for us. So what I'm going to do now is introduce my guest. And my guest today, Leslie Ziemba, is a law of attraction love coach and specializes in helping women in midlife to balance career and love. So I think that's a great topic there, a great description rather for the guest and things that she's doing. So I'm really looking forward to this discussion. And what we are going to be talking about is balancing masculine and feminine in business and love. So I'm sure you're going to enjoy that. So welcome, Leslie. I'm really glad to have you here.
Thank you, Deb. Thanks for having me.
So before we get started on this topic, if you could really share, how did you get to your journey to get here as a law of attraction love coach?
Oh my goodness. Well, I was married young and was married for 13 years and then went through a divorce in my mid-30s and got out into the dating world and realized that life is kind of crazy out there when you're, coming out of a divorce and in the 21st century, and things are very different. So I was dating a lot and, kind of trying to basically looking for love in all the wrong places. And I got into a couple of bad relationships and really kind of, was trying to figure out, like, what is wrong with me? What am I doing wrong here? And I ended up hiring a life coach, and I had done counseling and stuff before for years. When I was married, when I was a teenager, after my divorce, but I wasn't getting anywhere. So when I hired this life coach, I really got more out of 3 months of life coaching than I did out of 3 years of counseling.
Oh, wow.
That really changed everything for me in regards to dating and relationships. And then after working with her off and on over the period of almost 2 years, I decided to become a coach myself, because I knew that, if God put me in a place where I was having so many issues when it came to dating and relationships, then obviously I was meant to be able to help women with the same challenges that I was going through. So I started, I actually started as a matchmaker, and I had fixed up tons of friends for years, and they were happily married and have families, and everybody was always coming to me with, for advice around dating and relationships. So, but with the matchmaking, I really found like people would come to me all the time and say, oh, Leslie, fix me up. And I'd be like, well, I kind of got to fix you first, So then it evolved into coaching, and, I love it. It's so rewarding, and I've been doing it now professionally for just a little over 3 years.
Wow, that's a very interesting journey. And as I like to mention when I interview people, the journey never seems to be a straight line. It's always that people, they get to where they are from some other direction, which is always very interesting to hear. I think some people may be surprised by that. They may think, oh, it's you just take these steps and you get here. And it's not, there's a lot of little side trips before you get.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That whole climb to success is never like a straight climb up the steps. It's, one day it's like, oh, everything's going great. And then the next it's like, oh my God, what just happened?
That's very true. That's true. And everybody I've talked to, it's a very similar journey. So that's always very interesting.
And I think it boils over from, business and relationships.
So, our topic is balancing masculine and feminine in business and in love. So, exactly how do we do that?
Oh, well, there's so many different ways to approach that. I know I work with a lot of amazing women. They're executives, they're business women, they're entrepreneurs, and they are so magnificent in their career. And, they're usually just full of life, but they end up in relationships where oftentimes they end up taking on more of a masculine role because they're so used to, making shit happen in their lives. So they, they often get into these relationships that don't quite work out for them because the men end up taking more of a backseat. They're masculine and end up taking on more feminine roles, which ends up, women end up resenting the relationship or resenting the man because he's not living up to, their expectations. So, I mean, there's so many things that we can do when it comes to balancing that. And it's, learning how to take a step back from always being the aggressor, the one that makes everything happen. And I know, in my own relationships, I've always been that take charge kind of person. And I ended up marrying somebody who allowed me to take charge and do everything. And then, I eventually ended up regretting that and resenting him. So, moving into relationships in where I am now in my life, learning how to balance that, I've learned to take that step back, allow men to be men and do what they need to do for us, and also showing appreciation to men. I think we oftentimes don't do that. Men are so eager to just be appreciated, to just do something that makes you happy. And I think we often don't allow men to see that we're appreciative of what they do. I've often been the kind of person that I don't want to sound condescending because I'm a pretty blunt, straightforward kind of person. But learning how to, it doesn't have to be condescending, but be sincere. And if you are appreciative, to show appreciation. And also when it comes to dating for women that are out there in the dating world, you leave work one day and let's say it's a Wednesday afternoon and you're leaving work and you met a guy, maybe you're doing online dating and you met a man and you told him that you would meet for coffee or a drink or dinner. And women often will go right from work. But I always tell my clients, make sure that you schedule at least enough time to get home and take care of yourself, make yourself feel sexy. Even if it's just taking a quick shower and putting on a cute pair of bra and panties that nobody's ever going to see, but at least, feeling good underneath your clothes and feeling good about yourself and kind of washing off the work day before you have that time with, that date or even your lover if you're in a committed relationship. Kind of leaving work at work, washing it off before you are with that, that partner of yours. I think that's very crucial.
That's really a wonderful point, because I think we we'll have a little chat before we started. And I was saying I one time was a computer programmer, and also I was a catalog copywriter. So I've done a lot of things over the years. And I can remember when I worked for there was a company called Avon Fashions that Avon had like their own little fashion catalog.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that like every other thing we wrote about when we talked about clothing that was desk to dinner. And it was the idea that you were just going to put on some pearls and put on your heels. And now this dress you wore all day, now you're going to become, like you're saying, I'm going to go from the businesswoman and now I'm going to become, the sexy date. So when you said that just made me think of all the times I had to write copy where the woman was expected to just take, to transform just by maybe you're putting on some makeup, you're putting on some jewelry, you're putting on higher heels, and now you're becoming this other person who's going to go on this date.
Yeah. I mean, that might work for some, but I know for me and for what I teach my clients, it's definitely taking that alone time.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's just, always washing up, taking a shower or something. Mm-hmm. And then even if it's just having a few minutes to maybe do a little meditation, to, just some breathing, some deep breathing in a quiet place, even if it's 5 minutes in the car before you walk in the house, to take that 5 minutes in the driveway or in the garage to just, take a few cleansing breaths and kind of release, everything that's happened during the day. I mean, so many times, even, in committed relationships, we want to go home and, explode onto our partner, telling them everything that happened today. And yes, sometimes that's beneficial, but, when it comes to romancing and balancing that masculine feminine, we also have to learn to kind of breathe it away and wash it away. Mm-hmm. Before we drag it all over the place.
That's a good point. It really does make you feel better when you do things like that. I think so. Mm-hmm. It makes a difference in from moving from one environment to the other. And also what you were saying before about men and just kind of letting them know when they're doing something that you're pleased. It really goes a long way. And I think I had that experience myself, and I was almost surprised because I guess as a younger woman, you have this impression you've got to keep chasing them to let them know you're there.
Yeah. I wrote an article recently for Digital Romance, and the article was about one obvious way that chases men away. And I used the analogy of the lion and the gazelle. Mm-hmm. Men are the lion, women are the gazelle. And just as in the African jungle, when the lion is chasing that gazelle, if the gazelle would just lay down and do nothing and say, okay, here I am, take me, eat me. What's the lion going to do? The lion's probably going to stop and look at that gazelle and be like, oh, I don't know if I want that. It's probably diseased or something. So, yeah, it's, we don't want to play the games because I don't like that. When I'm working with my clients and even in my own personal relationships, it's all about being very authentic. Mm-hmm. But there comes a time when you need to understand that men have to feel that they are doing the chasing. Mm-hmm. And they are the aggressors. They are the ones that are getting things done and are doing things to please you. Mm-hmm. Men just love that. With my boyfriend, I don't know if you know anything about the love languages.
I've heard of them, but I'm not as familiar.
So with the love languages, there's 5 languages. There's acts of service, quality time, words of affirmation, physical touch, and gifts. Mm-hmm. And everybody receives and gives love primarily on one of those 5 love languages. Mm-hmm. So my love language is acts of service. So if somebody is washing the car, taking out the garbage, doing the dishes, I am in love. And that probably comes from being a mom for so many years or being a single mom. When somebody else is doing something, I'm in heaven. So with my boyfriend, he's words of affirmation. which means, oh, you look so good today, or I can see you've been working out, your arms look bigger, or, honey, you do such a good job when you do blah, blah, blah. And for me, that was so hard for me, because to me it was condescending.
Mm-hmm.
So if I made dinner and he was doing the dishes, I couldn't see to really thank him for doing the dishes because I made dinner. We should be doing the dishes. Right?
Right.
But what I had to do to get him to do the dishes was all I had to say was, oh, honey, you look so sexy when you're doing those dishes. And I swear every time I come home, dishes are done,
Yes, it's amazing.
Yes.
How, if you recognize what they're doing and all that really positive feedback, it's amazing the effect it has.
Yes. It can do wonders for your relationship, whether in a committed relationship or even just dating. So it's a great book. I'd recommend it to anybody listening, The 5 Love Languages.
Wow. But yeah, that's so true. And I think for a lot of the time, women may think that, as I said, as a young woman, you have this impression that you're supposed to chase and well, I have to call him all the time, or why didn't he call, or that kind of thing. And it gets to a certain point where I guess you realize, okay, this isn't quite the way to handle that. And I think I at some point realized that when I'm not chasing, then it gives him a chance to, as you said, pursue.
Yes.
Because that's in the nature of the person. It's not a condescending thing, but it may feel that way, as you're saying, to a woman who may be like, okay, I have a career or I have a business and I have to always take charge. And it seems like maybe that woman may be a little uncomfortable with, shifting into this other role.
Right. Yeah, it can be uncomfortable, but the longer, it's like going to the gym. The more you go to the gym, the more you're going to see results on your body. So it's the same thing. If you just start practicing it, even if it feels like somebody just ripped your arm off, the more you practice it and the more you do it, the more you'll get used to it. Like I said, with my boyfriend, it was one of those things that I had to make myself do, and I had to remind myself to do those things to tell him, how much I appreciated him, or how, good he looked that day, or how whatever he did was so, how he cleaned the bathroom so well, whatever. But, for me, it wasn't an easy thing, but the more you practice it, the better you get at it.
That's true. That's a good point. So, do you think that women really have, women who are out there doing a lot in their business life, do you think that they have a lot of problems really trying to find that balance between the woman who may have to be more assertive and then maybe how you may deal with things in your relationship?
I love that word, assertive. I went on a date one time, and it was with a client of mine, and he said, I want to fix you up with my brother-in-law. And my client was married, and so I went over to his wife's house, and they invited his brother-in-law over. And after the evening was over, I wasn't interested in the brother-in-law, but we all had a fun night. But then the client of mine called me the next day and said, my brother said that you were very sweet, very pretty, but you're very assertive. And I honestly had to look up. I wanted to look up the definition of assertive, and I read it, and I was like, well, hell yeah, I'm assertive. But I'll tell you, that gave me another little indication of, okay, maybe I don't need to change who I am, but I do need to, take a little bit of a step back and allow men to still be men. So I think a lot of us in business have a very hard time with this because we're so awesome, We are assertive women. We make things happen. We enjoy, going after things. We have ambitions and goals. And you can still have that in relationships. But if you really want to have a balanced relationship with the masculine and the feminine, and I know so many women do deal with this. There's a way to do it, and it really requires a lot of work and a lot of paying a lot of attention to what you're doing on a daily basis as to if you are turning a man off. Because if we're too assertive, men don't care about your job. They don't care about your career. They don't care about your education. They care about what you can give them that their buddies can't. Because their buddies can give them, talking about sports or talking about business and career and their goals and what they're going to do, when they take this vacation with their buddies. They can talk to their buddies about that. But what can you give them that their buddies can't? Sex, affection, attention, female attention. So if you're not giving that to a man, if you're just talking about football or because you think that they are going to like that, I remember one time when I was dating, a guy said to me, he asked me if I like football. And I said, would you like me to be honest with you or lie to you? If it really matters when it comes to our relationship, then we're probably not right for each other. But if you want me to be honest, I will tell you. I could care less about football. So, it's learning to give them what they can't get from their friends. And that is that attention and love and affection and sex.
And just allowing them to be what they probably can't be in those other relationships.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Holding the space for them to show their emotional side. That's another thing that guys won't do with their buddies. They won't normally share their emotional side. And I work with a lot of men and women. And the men that I've worked with, they don't usually confide in their buddies about what's really going on a more emotional level with them.
Right.
They might a little bit, but not much.
Right. It's not going to be quite the same.
Right. So when you're more in your feminine and you're, being more affectionate and more attentive to them, it allows them the space to share with you more of their emotions, their softer side. Because guys have it.
Yes, they do.
Conception that men always think, or women always think that men are, they're players or, they're just looking for sex or they're looking for, they're not looking to settle down. And that's far from the truth. Men want just what women want.
That's true.
Yes.
True. And I was surprised when I realized that myself, but I think that it's just the way it's projected in society and the culture. It's totally different than it really is in real life. So women a lot of times don't realize that they really don't have to work that hard in the way they think they do. It's just kind of giving, I guess, what is really giving yourself who you really are, as opposed to pretending to be who you think you're supposed to be,
right? To
be attractive to a man. It's right. Not what society tells you. It's right. A whole different thing altogether. That's true.
Nice. And being more in touch with your feminine side. And I know you probably have to take a break, so we can get into that a little bit later. But getting more into your feminine so that you can allow your feminine essence to kind of shine through, because we're not so used to doing that. We're so used to, when we're at work and we're being the aggressive boss or CEO, whatever, in our company, and we forget that we have this much softer side.
That's true. That's really what it is. So And, now is probably a good time to take a little break so we can return and get more into that. So, we're just going to be gone for a few seconds and we'll be right back.
Hi, this is Deborah. Not only am I host of Women Entrepreneurs Radio, but I'm also a writer and coach. I've learned that making professional changes calls for a change in mindset, and that's not always easy to do. In my book, Think Like an Entrepreneur, Transforming Your Career and Taking Charge of Your Life, you'll learn the 5 steps to thinking like an entrepreneur so that you can move from idea to action. You'll also get information on how to manage fear of failure and how to banish self-doubt. And you'll receive lots of motivation to pick you up and point you in the right direction when you're facing the emotional and mental challenges that come with making life changes. In fact, one reviewer said, the book gave me ideas to match with my own feelings. This book is clear, straightforward. All tips are really good and easy to apply. I couldn't agree more. So get your copy today of Think Like an Entrepreneur, Transforming Your Career and Taking Charge of Your Life. It's available in print, ebook, and audiobook on Amazon.com.
Hi everyone, we're back with Leslie Ziemba, and she's a law of attraction love coach. She specializes in helping women in midlife to balance career and love. And we were, talking a lot about how women can balance the masculine and feminine in business and love. So right now, I want to, get a little bit more into this sense of really balancing and being able to be this business owner, let's say, or career woman, and then still kind of leave that space for that significant other and really feel like, okay, I'm being authentic in both of these worlds. Isn't that kind of tough?
Yeah, it's very difficult. We're used to making things happen in business, and it's hard to find that balance to allow. And that's been such, I've had these 2 words have come to me so much in the last couple of years of my life: surrender and allowing.
Those are
I don't know about you or the other women that are listening to this, but who has an easy time just surrendering and allowing?
Right. Those are powerful words to use.
They are. It's so, surrendering to what, your higher power or whomever else might have in store for you. Mm-hmm. And that's a hard thing to grasp because when we're used to making things happen, but allowing, to just allow things to happen for us instead of trying to make things happen. Mm-hmm. And that's always been a struggle for me and for all of my female clients that I work with. It's really that struggle of allowing things to happen, allowing men to be who they are meant to be. Mm-hmm. One of the ways, a few of the ways that we can do that with, just allowing our feminine essence to kind of come forward a little bit more is really make a list, like sit down. If you've got pen and paper right now, make a list of even 10 things that you can do in any given day that are more of a feminine thing to do. Feminine trait or something, or feminine activity, whether it is taking a bubble bath or a sea salt bath. I took a sea salt bath the other night. I put it in my calendar. I scheduled it in my planner, and it was so funny when my phone dinged, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I was going to do that. You have a business and you're go, and I have to plan all of these things. So I did a sea salt bath and a honey mask on my face and poured myself a glass of wine, and I put on some meditation music. I have Pandora on my phone, and Pandora has this I think it's called heart meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, music. It's soft, meditative type of music.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of allowing yourself to get into the feminine. So whether it's, taking a bath or giving yourself a spa day at home, you don't have to spend a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I did a honey mask on my face. And there's so many recipes that you can Google and find online of different masks that you can make with stuff right in your kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was straight honey, but I know there's other ones that, you can do different facial masks. Or maybe you give yourself a pedicure, paint your toenails.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you go get a pedicure or get your nails done.
Mm.
Get your hair done. Or, go to a local bookstore or, Starbucks and get a book that's a romance novel, which I'm not big on romance novels, but sometimes to just open one up and read it.
Mm-hmm.
I have a book that a friend of mine gave to me that had a big giant X on the front of it. And it was all like erotic stories. And, not that I would, sit there. I'm not a romance novel kind of person, but
mm-hmm.
just to open that up every once in a while and just read a few paragraphs, it's like, oh yeah. Maybe if you're single and you're just going home after work and you don't have anything planned, you don't have a date, go home, take a shower, light some candles, make dinner, sit at your table. You can even sit two places. I have a little ritual that I do with some of my female clients that I say, you always make room in your house. Mm-hmm. If you are single and you want a man, mm-hmm. make room in your house for him, mm-hmm. even if he's not there. Act as if, pretend that he's there. So even if it's making dinner and you make enough for two, set that other plate. You can take the leftovers and have them for lunch tomorrow. But just, set that extra place setting and light some candles, maybe play some soft music or romantic music and just enjoy, dinner by yourself. No cell phones, no TV, just enjoying being in that kind of feminine energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I have my clients do is, and even I've had clients that they will argue with me that they are not feeling good about their body. Or I have one client who's 7 months pregnant. And I told her, I said, I want you to go home after work and I want you to take a shower and put on lingerie or just a sexy bra and panties and go dance around your house. Play some music. I call it sexy, soulful music. Find some sexy music and play it and dance around your house. Dance provocatively. Move your hips around.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody knows anything about the chakra system in our bodies, our chakras, we have 7 chakras between the crown of our head all the way to our root chakra, which is between, at our tailbone.
Mm-hmm.
And your chakras hold energy. All of our energies, all of our bodies have energy. So if you walk past a radio and it's staticky, how the radio will go into, it'll correct itself, or it might get more staticky depending on how close you are to it because you have energy in your body.
Mm-hmm.
The radio has energy. There's frequencies that we're giving off.
Right.
So those frequencies are controlled by our chakra system. So if we're the kind of person, let's say you sit at a desk all day, maybe you're not moving around a whole lot in your job. And then you go home and maybe you just, make some quick dinner and you sit down and watch some TV. Your body's not moving.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, all of your chakras are not getting any extra friction, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So by dancing around, and it might sound ridiculous, but like moving your arms all around, and it kind of shakes up around your heart, which your heart chakra is where we tend to hold emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So even just wiggling your body around, wiggling your hips, wiggling your stomach, wiggling your chest, your arms, getting all of that stuff going can help to invigorate you and help you feel more in your feminine, allowing the chakras to open up a little bit.
Mm.
So let's see, some other activities for, kind of getting into the feminine.
Mm-hmm.
Take a yoga class. Same thing with, moving your body. Yoga classes are good. Or there's a class that I do that's a yoga, Pilates, and Tai Chi combination. Mm-hmm. It's called Body Flow.
Mm-hmm.
All the Gold's gyms, if anybody has like a Les Mills program in their gym, then they usually have Body Flow. So, that's a good thing. Meditation. A lot of people, I have a lot of clients that come to me, and part of what we do will usually incorporate meditation. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people will say to me, "Oh, Leslie, I've meditated before and I can't do it." But again, it's like going to the gym.
Right.
You have to stay consistent at it. Mm-hmm. It took me 7 months of playing with meditation before I actually felt what it really felt like. And when I did, it was orgasmic. It was an amazing feeling. Mm-hmm. So I make sure I have that also planned in my planner every morning. My phone dings that it's my meditation time. Even if it's 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm. That's a great idea.
Some form of meditation or something, some form of something for yourself for 15 minutes every morning. Something that you want to do that's creative, that you love, that would feel good for you is so profound to starting your day on a good note.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I think for some people, they think, well, meditation, something's supposed to happen when I'm doing this. Am I supposed to feel a certain way or whatever? But I think, when I've done it, and I can admit that I'm not as consistent as I like to be, but I think what I have found is that over time, and this doesn't necessarily a long time, but I start to feel a little different, a little more centered during the day. And I think if you go into it thinking, well, I'm expecting to feel a certain way right away, it's not really going to happen like that. But it does have an effect, and maybe it's something you may not even realize until you kind of look back and go, oh, I'm feeling more centered, I'm feeling more at ease, I'm feeling more peaceful. The things that you may not feel right away that you will feel over time when you realize it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, Deb, because that's something that I sometimes forget to say is that you're probably not, it's going to be frustrating in the beginning.
Yes.
Because you're going to sit there like, you're trying to think of, I always tell my clients to think of nothing, think of no thing, nothing, no thing. Keep on repeating that to yourself.
Right.
And I tell people, just pay attention to your breathing. And one thing that helped me was saying on the in-breath, when I was taking a deep breath in through the nose, I would say, God's love is within me. And on the out-breath, I would say, God's love surrounds me. So it would give me a mantra and something to put my mind towards instead of letting my mind do whatever it wanted, because then I'm thinking about, I got to pay bills today.
Yeah.
I've got to go make an appointment for the dog to go to the vet. I've got to call so-and-so. I've got to email this one. So instead, having that little bit of, that's something that you can focus on, the breathing or a little mantra. And even if you just start with 15 minutes, I did this probably about 4 years ago. I started meditating every single morning for 15 minutes. I set my alarm 20 minutes early. I got up, I took a shower. I made myself a cup of tea. I stopped drinking coffee, stopped all caffeine. I made myself a cup of tea, green tea, and I would lay down on my couch, and I have a little French Bulldog, and I would pick her up and I would put her on my legs. Like she would lay kind of on my knees. I'd put a pillow under my knee and a pillow under my head. And I would lay there for 15 minutes and just focus on my breathing. And I committed myself to doing this for 1 year. And again, it's not those big results that you see, but it's these little transformations.
Yeah.
You know, like traffic on the way to work didn't seem so crazy anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My kids didn't bother me as much as they would in the past, or my boss didn't bother me as much as he did in the past.
Mm-hmm.
With little things that I started noticing that things just didn't bother me.
Yeah.
And like I said, I did that every morning, and I was still working in my corporate job then.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that every single morning for 1 year. And by the end of that year, that's about the time I quit my corporate job to do coaching full time.
Wow.
So, you know, something happened in that year.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You may not really know it at the time, but then you look back and you go, oh, okay, I see where these changes occurred. And, you know, I can remember having exercise when I was, in school. I had, gone to Fashion Institute of Technology after, college, because I was making a career change. And I can't remember what class we were in, but the teacher had said, well, for this weekend, don't listen, like turn off the radio if you're in the car or whatever, and just, you know, have some kind of quiet. And it was the first time I'd done that. When I went in the car, I always turned the radio on, the first thing I did. And I didn't do it for the weekend. And I remember feeling totally different at the end of that weekend when I turned off all these outside things that were going on. And I was amazed, because I was so sure, okay, what's this going to do? But you don't realize it until you've done it. And you're like, hey, you know, all these things really affect me in ways I hadn't even thought about.
Yes.
You know, the noise and things intruding on you.
Yes. And
yeah.
when I went through my divorce, I grew up in the New Jersey area and moved to Pennsylvania. And then after my divorce, I decided to move to Charleston, South Carolina. Mm-hmm. And I had 2 teenagers at the time who refused to move. So I let them stay with their dad for a while. Mm-hmm. So I did a lot of road trips back and forth between Pennsylvania and South Carolina. Yeah, that's cool. I always have, you know, either whether I was making a mixed CD or then, you know, I graduated to the MP3 player. Then, you know, the iPhone with, you know, downloading music onto your phone. And so over those years, I'd always had tons of music on my devices that I could listen while I was driving back and forth. I put a ton of miles on my car in a few years. And I still have a son who's grown now, but he lives in Pennsylvania, and my daughter lives here with me. And occasionally we'll still, you know, do a road trip up there, maybe once or twice a year. We go up in the mountains in October every year to usually do a hiking trip, and we'll rent a cabin. But the last few years, the last probably 4 years that I've done that, I've noticed many times that I don't even turn the radio on. And that's an 11-hour drive.
Yeah. I've done it from New Jersey.
Yeah. I have no problem just being with quiet and peace. And it, you know, again, you know, talking about the masculine, feminine, you're able to tap into your feminine essence so much more when we get quiet. So with my clients, that's one of the things that we talk about early on is, what are you doing on a daily basis? Tell me your daily activities, starting with the moment you wake up in the morning. What do you do? And one of the things that I change more times than not with all male and female clients is, a lot of them, it's, you know, I check email, I'm on Facebook, I'm turning on the news, I'm reading the newspaper, or I'm listening to the news on the radio or talk radio. So I always have them. I said, okay, for the next 14 days, I want you to turn it all off. For at least the first half an hour, no email, no news at all. I don't even want you to watch the news, and no newspaper. If you need to read a business section for your business or whatever, I totally understand that. But all the other garbage that's going on, either on the news or in the newspaper, on the news radio, or I had a friend one time that had a news app on his phone. I'm like, why do you need that? You know, if there's a hurricane coming, you'll hear about it.
You'll hear about it.
So that is one of the things that every single client has always come back to me and said, wow, I did not realize what a difference that makes in my day.
Mm-hmm.
Just by starting it off with eliminating those things.
Yes.
So, stay away from all that stuff. It's just negativity. If something's going on that you really need to know about, you'll hear.
Right. That's what I say. That's just definitely what I say. You really have to protect yourself and take care of yourself and have self-care. Because it does make a difference into how you feel about yourself, how you feel about your environment and the people around you. If you're not bombarded with all of that, it's major.
Yeah, there's just so much negativity out there.
Yes.
I mean, even TV. I turned off my cable years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we did get cable for a little while. My boyfriend wanted it, and this was new in our relationship, and he was watching TV.
Mm-hmm.
But after about a year and a half of dating, he stopped watching TV. So then we had it for a little while, and my daughter, who's 22, moved back home with me for a bit. And I came home one day. I was out seeing a client, and I came home, and my daughter, I guess she was about 20 at the time, she's sitting on the couch, and we had a DVR, and we had DVR'd Little House on the Prairie.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had probably 40 episodes of Little House on the Prairie.
Oh, wow.
And I come home, and there's my 20-year-old sitting on the couch in like the middle of the day. It was her day off. And she was watching reruns of Little House on the Prairie. And I said to her, that contract that we had with the cable company is up like in 3 or 4 weeks. I think I'm going to turn the cable off. And she was like, okay.
She was okay with that.
And she lives on her own now, and she has a baby who's 2 months old, and they don't have cable. None of them watch it. Her and her boyfriend don't watch it. So
I don't blame her.
No. Yeah. Cut it out. You'll see such a huge difference in so many areas of your life. It's amazing.
Yes, and the cable bill also is a nice change to get rid of. Yeah, that's a nice change too. So, when you start to cut these things off and then you realize you're feeling better, it is a revelation, because you don't think that makes all these differences in your life, but it really does. And like we were talking before, about human beings and just kind of being and being authentic and being yourself and just kind of realizing that you have to take care of yourself. You have to just be aware of your surroundings. You have to just be willing to feel better and do what you have to do to feel better, and not follow along, with though we have so many distractions and we have so many things coming at us and all the technology, and we're just all trying to keep up. You can't, because it's too much to keep up with, and it leads, it just kind of leads to people to be completely frazzled and feeling frustrated. And there's a point where you just have to say, look, I don't really have to know about all these things. I can keep up, but I have to have some peace of mind and so I can be a better person within myself, and I can't do that I'm bombarded.
Sure.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it also will help your relationships too. So there's a lot of benefits to this. So could you please share with everyone, Leslie, where they can find you?
Sure. Well, they can find me online. My website is leslieziemba.com. It's LeslieZiemba.com. And they can also find me on Facebook, Leslie Ziemba Coaching. And I also have a webinar that I'm doing for women that is all about mastering love, men, and your mojo. So, and that's a little bit of a longer link, so I will provide that for you so that you can share it, with this audio as well. Mm-hmm. And it's free. The webinar training is free. Mastering Love, Men, and Mojo.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. So everyone, that's going to be on the blog, womenentrepreneursecrets.com. And I usually have the guest bios listed there, so you will definitely see that link as well with links to the show. So definitely go there and you can click through and register or listen to the webinars. Please make sure that you do that as well. It sounds like it's really going to be a great topic. So Leslie, we could definitely talk about this for much more time, I'm sure, because this is a terrific topic, and there's so many other parts of it, that we can discuss. So this has been really a great conversation. But are there any other, I guess, final thoughts that you want to share about what we've discussed, or anything you want to mention that maybe we haven't touched on?
I would just say, take the time for yourself. I know as leaders, women in this country, there's so many amazing leaders and women that are just doing so many amazing things in our world. Mm-hmm. But we oftentimes forget to take care of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I suggest always scheduling time, at least 3 things a day that are just for you, whether that is 15 minutes of writing in a journal or meditating or enjoying a cup of tea on your back porch or taking a yoga class or whatever it is. At least, a few things that you can do every single day for yourself. And like I said, I know how hard it is to schedule those things for ourselves, but put it in your planner. Put it if you have a written planner or a digital planner on your laptop or on your phone, something, schedule it for yourself every single day to do something for you to take care of you.
Mm-hmm. That's a great idea, because a lot of times we overlook that. I think women in particular will overlook doing for themselves because there's so many things going on with your business, career, family, relationships, or just other obligations. You're going to run around and take care of those, and then you're exhausted and you feel drained, and you don't make that time for you. So that is so important for you to make sure you schedule that in if that's what you have to do that. So I totally agree. So Leslie, this has been such a fantastic conversation. As I said, I'm sure we could go on for another.
Oh, I enjoyed it, Deb. Thank you.
We could go on for much longer because it's really been a very, very interesting conversation, a lot of fun. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So everyone, I know you've enjoyed this. Please make sure you share it with your friends. So share it on social media. Don't forget to leave a review or feedback about the show. And then also, as I said, come to womenentrepreneursecrets.com. When you're hearing the show on Podomatic or iTunes, definitely stop by the blog and you can get the link and click through and find out more about Leslie's webinar. So please make sure you do that as well. Really would love for you to follow through with that and find out more about how you can manage all of your career and love interests. I think it's really important. So I hope that you'll do that. So once again, Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host, Deborah Bailey. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye now. Thanks for joining us. You can also join in the conversation on Facebook.com/Women Entrepreneurs and on the website, WomenEntrepreneursSecrets.com. And don't forget to listen in on dvcoach.podomatic.com and on iTunes.